put them together and they've got the gift of crab.
Hello and welcome back, Grabber Gang. You are here with me, Will, and your co-host, Haley G, and Hales Bales, if you will. And and we have a special guest here today. We've talked with a couple of people from England, and today we are meeting with what I assume they still consider to be an outcast, kind of a criminal of some sort, since you're in Australia. But we have Isaac Pitt with us today, so welcome. Thanks for coming on. We've had a lot of fun interactions and stuff on the interwebs, so hopefully that carries through in our discussion this evening / afternoon.
I can start by being a bit controversial and saying I'm personally glad the Queen is dead. So there's a decent enough reason for it. So we are the British monarch is our head of state. So it's a little bit like the Canadian system. We have a prime minister. But when my wife became an Australian citizen, because she's German originally, to get Australian citizenship, you have to pass a test and stuff. And then you have to swear allegiance, at the time she had to swear allegiance to the Queen. And it's that's some bullshit, right? I was born in Australia. I don't have to swear allegiance. So anyway, Queen dies, and I'm you've got no allegiance.
Yeah, your allegiance is totally open.
Swear on the monarch of the UK. They said swear on the Queen. So it's she can fully.
Has she found a new place?
She doesn't have to live in this fear of committing sin if she talks bad about the monarch. But,
that's
it's not a super popular opinion.
Well, I mean, it might be over there. I don't know, but other parts probably not. But that's all good. Yeah, I think there are other places that she could probably move her allegiance to. I think it's kind of like an IRA rollover, where you can select a new place without any sort of tax implications. So looking forward to seeing and hearing what she decides to do with that. So I guess just to start out, we'll do kind of hear about you, just generally, your background. How'd you get into grip? How'd you end up doing what you're doing?
Sure. So I live in Tasmania, which is a part of Australia. Sometimes Americans think that it's its own country, but it isn't. When I was actually in Hawaii last year, and you'd think the Hawaiians would, if anyone's going to get it out of the Americans, the Hawaiians would get it. It's they're an island and not attached to the mainland. But I rented a car, and the person's oh, I need to see your passport and your driver's license. So I showed them passport and driver's license. It's Tasmania? Where's your Tasmanian passport? I'm no, Tasmania's a part of Australia. And she's no, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure I'm from there.
Pretty sure my driver's license is, Tasmania, Australia. But then her reasoning was because she thought she remembered Miss Tasmania as part of the Miss Universe contest.
Okay.
Which is pretty strange. It's you could just Google it.
Yeah. No. There was a Miss Tasmania in the Miss Universe contest. That's how I know.
That's how I know you're full of it.
Tanzania or something.
Yeah.
Part of Africa. So
not at all similar.
Not at all similar. No, starts with a T, ends with an Ania. I live in Tasmania. Do grip sport and organise competitions. Come from, I say climbing background, but I don't want people to get the impression that I'm a good climber or a professional climber. It's more like a hobby.
You've climbed a lot.
I do Germans say Genussklettern. It's like leisure, climbing for leisure. So easy stuff. So have a background in easy climbing, and I do a lot of hiking. But yeah, really sports wise, that's my only background. And yeah, sort of got into grip. Didn't realize how small it was, and wanted to do more competitions. And there's not much going on in Australia, or like the competitions are like very like few and far between. So thought I'd start hosting my own, and yeah, it's been pretty good so far.
How did you get into it out there if it's not that big? I mean, I feel like I know a lot of Australian names at this point, but like, I mean, if it's not that,
Yeah,
Was it
so-
Joseph Hodgson?
Yeah.
Was it Joe?
Pretty much. So there were, I think, there was really only King Kong happening in Australia, and Joe used to host some, like I know he's done one or two like record breakers events in Sydney.
Mm.
So I'd say like, there's a Sydney crew, and for King Kong, people met up, and there's like a Melbourne crew. I don't think, I don't think there was any other competitions. And then a guy named Mark in Canberra, which is capital city, he organised basically the first grip sport comp outside of King Kong, or like a little at-home record breaker event. And everyone was like super, super keen, because it's like, oh, someone else is doing something.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I met a lot of people. That was my first proper grip sport competition. Was the one in Canberra, and they did that again last year, and it's planned for this year. So this year will be the third one for the Canberra comp.
Nice.
So yeah, really, there's only like our nationals, which has only been run once last year, and the Canberra comp, and King Kong. So really only three big ones a year, and I'm trying to make like a Hobart one, like an annual sort of staple. They did a comp in Tasmania before, like for a couple of years, but it wasn't GSI affiliated. It's through a strongman gym, and it was very like strongman oriented, and kind of like the scoring was a bit off. Like it made it so that a grip person might win 3 out of the 4 events, but the strongman's going to win the 4th event and win overall because of it. So this year, which is like happening in a week, the Hobart Hoist. So Hobart Hoist will be fully GSI, and it'll be based on like a percentage-based scoring and everything. So
Nice. Is it unlimited attempts, or are you going to be...
unlimited attempts. We'll have like minimum kilo jumps. But yeah, unlimited attempts, rising bar. So you can't go backwards. Can't repeat a weight.
Nice.
So the Hobart Hoist, you're calling it. What are the 3 events? You have the axle, you have the hub. Are you just doing like a pinch grip hub, like not the freestyle?
Yeah, traditional hub.
Traditional hub.
Axle, which is the Andrews axle. So that's the 60 millimeter one, the 2 3/8 inch.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the
Big boy.
The big
big
one.
boy, yeah. And wrist wrench.
Oh, okay. Nice. I haven't done the wrist wrench yet. I remember Mad Cow doing his, 40, 40, yeah, 40, 40. Yeah. And then I was...
It's good. It's really like, I would like to do Mad Cow's 40/40. It's hard though. Like it's a decent number, and even just like the technical part of drinking that much volume of liquid, I think you need to try. Yeah, it's like you gotta, because I tried it. I did like an easier one. I did like 30 kilos just to see like, oh, how hard is this going to be? And it's like, no, I'm definitely going to have to train for it.
Yeah, I think I would probably have to train more for the chugging then. For 40 kilos on the wrist wrench would still be pretty tough, but like it's never been a thing, especially with like a carbonated drink. Not happening.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
happening.
I could do 40.
That's the only part I could probably do.
And you do the drinking.
Yeah. There we go. Tag team.
We can combine, make a reel out of it for the
Yeah.
page.
Perfect. I'll wear a blonde wig, and then, yeah, and no one will tell the difference.
I'll pencil on a little beard.
Yes, the tiniest of beards, and it'll be great. Yeah, we're exact same height anyway. I'm gonna make sure that at the Arnold, I'm gonna contact Ron DeSantis and get his lift guy just to make sure that like I'm as tall as I possibly can be without anybody knowing. So I don't want to come in under for expectations. So yeah. Anyway. So the Hobart hoist. Did you pick any of those implements because they're like your favorite one to lift, or what's your favorite grip?
I think like thick bar in general would be my favorite. I like the idea of the Andrews axle because I feel like the normal axle is still like it's not your grip if you're doing more than 150 kilos. It's like I think it's too much of like a body weight lift. So I think if you get into the thicker bar, the lower the weight, the more it's actually involving your wrist, fingers, forearm, etc. We got a little bit of a problem. So Tasmania is a beautiful place. I love living in Tasmania. Choose to live here. Wouldn't I might live somewhere else, but I'd like to come back. But we are like the arse end of the world, so it take a long time to get to Australia.
Yeah,
and then from mainland Australia, it takes a long time to get to Tasmania. So Artie, who you might have seen on Pancho's show, he made the axle to like spec through GSI. Like we talked to Jed and Eric, and we made sure that this axle would be approved for GSI records. And he made it, and he posted it a while ago. And he lives in Melbourne, which is basically the closest city to Tasmania on the mainland. So it's like a body of water between us, but that's the closest city. So he sent the axle. It was meant to take 4 business days to arrive, and that was well over a week ago that 4 days has passed.
Oh, geez.
So we're trying like, what the hell's going on? Because it's not cheap either. It's like you pay the shipping. Apparently, like the ship that it was on, I don't know if it broke down or like needed repairs or something, but basically massive backlog of like anything coming to Tasmania on this cargo ship. And yeah, so at the moment we don't have the official axle in the state. And we've got like, 6 days before competition, so
super
Fingers
cool.
crossed.
Yeah.
yeah, axle,
Find an old beaten down, like broken down car on the side of the road.
yeah.
Take
Yeah,
an actual axle off of it.
Yeah, I've got an axle. So I've got the Andrews axle that I got before sort of seeking out this official GSI. So we'll use that. It just won't count in the records, which will suck because there is someone from Victoria coming to like specifically try to beat the world record on it. So Henry Mullett actually has the current world record. He's not competing in this because he's got Arnold soon. But yeah, there's another guy from Victoria coming to break it. So, I mean, yeah, it'll suck for him if we don't have the official.
It doesn't count.
Yeah. So wait, what's the difference between the GSI spec?
I mean, the one that I've got, it's not 7 foot long.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I get the sort of policy for GSI that it's like you can't just have any old manufacturer making it. It has to conform to some things. Otherwise, you're going to get, people doing too much knurling or too stubby or too long or whatever. But I do think that, like for the future of the sport, especially if you want to expand it more internationally, you need to have just some like minimum requirements that need to be met that anyone can produce something. And I mean, I get the idea of using a certain arm size and strength shop thing for a competition, because they're a reliable supplier, and in the case of Arm Assassin especially, does a lot for grip sport and competitions, so it makes sense. But yeah, you're not gonna shipping an Arm Assassin whatever to Indonesia or whatever. You're not going to get people buying it.
Yeah.
So so that's first implement Andrew's axle, GSI spec or not. Second, wrist wrench. Like I really wanted wrist wrench. When I was planning last year's nationals, I based it off of Eric's North American Championship. So he ran that over 2 days. I was like, well, I don't want to just choose implements I like, so I'll base it on, what Eric's doing. He definitely knows his shit, and he had the wrist wrench as part of that, but there weren't any records yet, and he was running it over 2 days, and we were doing it in 1 day. So I thought, well, I'd still like to do the wrist wrench, but we can just have it in a different competition. So added it to the Hobart hoist, and yes, I'm keen to. At the moment, there's only US and Canadian records for that, so keen to see some Australian records on the wrist wrench. And hub, I did because I hate hub, so it's like at least not biased towards me. Yeah. There's some people on the mainland who like hub. And I thought, oh, maybe it'll get them down to be like, because if percentage-based scoring, if you do really, really well in hub, you could win the whole thing just based on that. Because if you do a 25-kilo hub and some next person does a 20-kilo hub, that's the equivalent of 40, 50 kilo gap in an axle potentially because of the percentages. And they already had a hub in their sort of like non-sanctioned strongman comps. They had a hub, but it wasn't an Iron Mind one. It was like a kind of like a locally made weird hub thing. But they're familiar with the concept of hub, so yeah, that's why they kept the hub. And the big ass axle and the wrist wrench are both hand size. If you got big hands, you will have an advantage, but I don't think you have an advantage with hub. I think it's a disadvantage, traditional style at least.
Yeah, agree. And then, so you, is it just you that runs Grip Australia, or is it you and Glenn, or?
I just run it at the moment.
Okay.
I don't do much. It doesn't need that much maintenance anyway.
Is that just an organization that you have? Or is it? Are you trying to get like really. A federation or what?
No, it's just like I created it so people stop asking me what events are coming up. What things are in the national? What are we doing? They get all confused and they're like, why are we doing this? What's that? And I'm like, just go to the website, have a look at the events page. Oh, blah blah. Ask for this. Like, what do we tell them? Just go to the website, and people still,
yeah.
They'll still ask. But yeah, it was more to just try to bring stuff together. And if you're running a grip comp in Australia, I'll put it on the website and promote it.
Gotcha.
It's just like an easy link too. Like if someone has like the Canberra comp this year, they've got like an Eventbrite page for the tickets. But if you meet someone at a barbecue or whatever, and you're like, this is what grip sport is, and they're like, oh, cool. Like, where do I sign up for that? You're not gonna remember an Eventbrite link or whatever, but you'd be like, oh, just go to gripaustralia.com, and then it's like I put all the competition links like on the main page, and then it'll just link straight there. So it's just to make that little barrier, that like initial barrier of what was that idiot at the barbecue talking about? Like it just makes it easy for them to go straight to them.
I think there's a few efforts like that just kind of in general that are like going around to try to make that information a little bit more accessible just in total. Like I know that I worked on something. I think Clint Ziegler has been working on some stuff too, but just being able to find lifters near you or events near you and all that stuff. So I think everyone wants kind of some version of that to figure out what's going on where. And so I think that's a worthy undertaking for sure.
Because our mostly our announcements are through email or like an Instagram post. It's not like a universal website for us. It's word of mouth and tagging others and sharing it, and it's not really streamlined. You know, but ours, like here, obviously it's like GSI versus arm lifting, so it's like you have to go both places to kind of see which events you want. Now back to, you know, how you got into grip, like obviously a natural progression from climbing, and you said you're not really a great climber, but I mean, you've been all over the world climbing with your wife and just adventures and stuff like that. I mean, was it something you were just like, you know, what's the next step, or I'm pretty good at this and I got some toys to get better at climbing, or I'm done climbing, I'm interested in this, and now it's kind of both?
Yeah, I listened to a lot of climbing podcasts while I was hiking, because doing the Pacific Crest Trail, there's like you start and it's all beautiful, but there are like just some like boring sections through forest, and it's like you need to do 12 hours of hiking that day or whatever, so it's good to just listen to something, get through. There's a lot of climbing podcasts, and as part of that, like I hadn't heard of grip sport or anything before. Part of that, I listened to interview with Tanner Merkel. So Tanner did an interview with the British dudes. I can't remember the name. Lattice Strength podcast, something like that. He did a podcast, and Eve Gravel did a podcast as well. And it sounded like for like quite a while, I'd been meaning to do, like, I've got all these training books for climbing, and a lot of them are like, oh, you should, you know, all climbers should deadlift. And I've never done any deadlifts. I kind of thought, oh, I'm going to deadlift, I'm going to break my back. I did hangboarding, so hangboarding is like the sort of bread and butter for climbing training. So I listen to these things, and people who are talking about like, oh, like I'm really good at this and this is what I do. So I looked at some of, like, I knew Eve from his, there's like a climbing thing called like campus board. Do you know, have you heard of the campus board?
No.
It's like got rungs up like I'm not sure what degree it is, 20, 30 degree.
Oh, I've seen those at my climbing gym. Okay.
Yeah. And he's got like the record for, I don't know if it's still the record or whatever, but has a good accomplishment with like the lowest rung to like some ridiculous high rung, and it's like it's beyond anything. Like I can't even put it in like grip sport terms, but it's just like crazy impressive. It's like shouldn't be physically possible, and it's like, well, whatever this guy's doing, and it's just like such power. And I like my climbing style, I would say, is like more power. So I'm not a good climber because like I don't have much good technique with like footwork and stuff. Like if you're a good climber, Ben Cossey, people like that, it's, you know, it's all about foot placement and body positioning and everything. I can get away with a lot in climbing because I've got good sort of upper body strength, and I can do pretty like dynamic, like powerful moves. So I kind of wanted to like lean into that power. Eve is like king of power. What does he do? What does he like to do? And he was talking about all this grip arm lifting stuff. So yeah, I kind of thought, oh, when I get back to Australia, I'll order a bunch of this stuff and I'll start doing that for training, instead of what I should be doing, which is learning how to use my feet better. But yeah, so that's kind of how it came about, just wanting to get better at climbing. And then I bought some grip tools, and I kind of like, oh, what's like a good baseline, and I was like already maybe like 80% of some of the records, like the open records, and I was like, oh, in any other strength-based thing, I'm nowhere near 80% of the record. It's like that's me getting like, I don't know what the bench press record is, but I'd be like 20% of it. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm already 80%. Like, let's test this out, and yeah, so I was pretty good at it, and I mean that really helps to stick to something.
Do you
And I just kept going from there.
do you have I feel like I have it in my head. Maybe the first interaction that I had with you, but that I saw of you and somebody else online was around you having the record for the 80 kilo something. Did you have a record for something for one of the
Yeah, I had the
axle or
record.
something?
I had the record for the Napalm Nightmare
Okay, yeah, that's right.
2-inch handles
Yeah,
for the 83 kilo class.
that's it. Yeah.
Yes, I got 200 kilos on that,
Jeez.
and then Ben Galper got 220 something, which is a pretty big jump from his previous attempt.
Yep.
And and I have the record for the 2 and 2.375
Yeah.
napalm one. So the thicker one, I have the record for 83 kilos. But Eve has a higher number on that at a lower weight. So I think you do need that caveat, because it's like, it is a weight class record, but it'd be nice to have also beaten all the lighter weights. So
That's the crazy thing, though, and I feel like we've talked about this a bunch, but like the climbers and everything, they can just pull these ridiculous numbers on these implements. I mean, you're a climber too, but at the same time, weight doesn't matter as much on some of that stuff. And you know, there's always going to be people like Devin Lee at the Arnold last year was in the 80s, and I think he pulled higher than most of the 100 kilo guys or
100
whatever.
kilo guys, yeah.
And so like there's just some of these freaks out there.
And we mean that in the nicest way possible, guys. Like,
Nope.
I do. You're all freaks, and I love you for it.
I mean it like all the senators in the X-Men movie. You know,
Put them all in a building so we can study them together.
that's it.
yeah, I dropped down to the 74 kilo weight class for the Napalm World Championship in December. And I didn't lose much strength, like, because I came back from like a 4-month trip where I was doing a lot of climbing. So I just already dropped that weight, and I came back and I was like 76 kilos or something. And I'm like, I think 2 kilos over. I might as well just do one competition at like a lighter weight to get some other stuff on the board. And I had actually put on, because pinch is my weakest sort of grip discipline. And from 2023 December to 2024 December, I put on 10 kilos on my 2x5 napalm pinch, at like 10 kilos lighter. So I don't think body weight has heaps to do. Like, it does obviously have some crossover. I think with the heavier things, like your body needs to be able to lift that certain amount of weight. But I do think that there's some people in grip who probably having that extra donut, thinking like, oh, I need to be heavy to lift much, and it's like, obviously not. Like, the person who won Hong Kong last year was in the 83 kilo class.
Yeah,
like he won overall. So yeah.
Yep. It's pretty crazy.
No,
you
excuse
usually. I know. I think William Reed asked me. He's like, "Oh, are you gonna ever come down to like the 70s or the 80s, and I was like, nah, man. I enjoy brisket and beer too much to like put in that much. I haven't been that light since I was in college probably, so I don't. That's a lot of work to get down there at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't think I want to do it.
It's a lot of work to me. I mean, well, like people ask me, like they'll send me a message, I'll post like a video or a story or something like that, and they're just like, "Oh, what weight class are you going to be in? 70?" I'm like, "No, like I'm incredibly tall, like, but you're so slim," and I'm like, "Am I? That's not the look I'm going for." But thanks, like, dang it, it's not that easy. I would need to cut off a limb probably, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's kind of the beauty of this sport is that everybody is just different shapes and sizes, and there's now a class for everybody. So, but pinch wise, you're right, because the weights aren't getting crazy high where you need a lot of mass to move mass. It's an entirely different strength discipline. So,
Yes, indeed.
yes, indeed.
I have kind of just a random off the wall thing. For whatever reason, I'm just going to preface this. Whenever I think of Australia, the only thing that comes to mind, or I guess the first thing that comes to mind is the Princess Bride when they're doing the Battle of the Wits and stuff, and Vicini says, and Australia, as we know, is entirely populated with criminals. And and studying this, you must know this. So anyway, I don't mean to keep bringing that up as a theme, but I did want to. I thought this was an interesting question. So if you had to create your own island of grip criminals, who do you think you'd include in that, and why?
Grip criminals. Well, I mean, it is. Yeah, Australia, mainland Australia, is a big island. Tasmania as an island was definitely a like penal colony, because Tasmania, it's got a lot of like 40% of the state is like World Heritage, like protected wilderness. So it was a pretty good idea. It's like, well, we'll put them here, even if they escape. Like, where are they
going to go?
Like the whole state is a prison. So I think I'll think about it as who would I take here as a prison, because like environmentally things are different. So if whoever the musket hunter is hunting deer in the States, they might not be so good here because we don't have the same animals and stuff. So if it was in Tasmania, grip criminals, Tom Denmead, so he's another lightweight competitor. He loves fishing, so I think I don't meet personally, but I'm imagining in this scenario it's like a survival situation. So he can bring his rod, and criminality. Like, are we like robbing people? What's the scenario? Is it like a survival thing, or like a
I don't know.
kind of
I mean, there probably would be some survival needed because they're being put on this island for whatever crimes they have committed. They've already been convicted at this point. So, like, what do if you have to make up a backstory of like what they've done to earn a spot and then how they would survive, that's fine too. So yeah, it's really it's not a serious question. So you can do whatever you want with it.
So Tom, Artie's a very, very smart guy, Dr. Zavras. He can. I mean, now I'm thinking like, I don't want to take these people away from their wives and kids. Put me in a really difficult spot here.
Well, you're not convicting them.
Yeah, just pretend they're already away from their wife and kids.
Listen, Listen, they fell back on their allegiance pledge, and then they ended up, getting
Just
convicted.
Carl, because Carl,
He can make sure they've got enough
he's part of
coconuts to
your
eat and
gang.
drink.
You just put him in the front. It doesn't really matter. That's the answer, right? Like
Absolutely.
me and Carl in Tasmania.
When you were saying Tasmania was like a penal colony, I've seen you post pictures and stuff, and like it's like, man, that's probably the prettiest prison that they could have picked. Like, it's just like
Jokes on them, really.
yeah.
I know. If I had to go away for a while.
No, not Tasmania,
No.
please.
I have another random one. I was telling my daughter who I was talking to tonight when she asked me, and she goes, "Oh my God, has he ever seen a Tasmanian devil?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And she's like, "You should ask him." I'm like, "I think that's just a cartoon. I don't know that they're running around." And then now I gotta know.
They are. I mean, they are running around, but they're not. You don't see them. You don't see them in the cities. So I've seen a bunch. We have so Tasmania has like a culture of a lot of people have like bush blocks. So it's like a separate piece of land somewhere else in the state that you might have like a real basic kind of shack on. So we have a bush block, and it's like 10 acres of bush and heaps of wild like native animals there. So we have wombats,
Aw.
like echidnas there, and devils. But devils are harder to spot because they usually only come at night. But yeah, we've seen devils like on the road up to the property, and they're really loud. So they don't look really anything like the cartoon, but they do.
Yeah, no.
The sound is pretty accurate. Like they're just this little puppy-looking thing. So you can hear it at the middle of the night, like camping or whatever. Because we do a lot of overnight hiking, and once we were doing it was like a 10-day hike through like southwest. Like there's no towns or anything. It's complete wilderness area. We set up our tent, and like 4 a.m. in the morning or something, you can hear this like patamelon, which is it's kind of wallaby. So we've got kangaroos, they're big. Wallabies are like small, and patamelons are like the smaller version still of that. And you can hear this patamelon jumping around the tent, and then like just this. Like, usually, like they don't really hunt. They're not hunt. They're scavengers, so they eat dead stuff. So they've got extremely strong jaws, and they can, eat through bone and everything. But it must have been like an injured patamelon, or maybe like a really young patamelon, because otherwise it's not going to bother chasing them. But yeah, it was just this, almost could imagine it from the outside like a circus thing, just like. It's handy because like every now and then, like on our bush block, we have like an animal, like a wallaby or something will die. It'll be gone in like 24 hours. Like every bone will be gone, and you'll just see like a little bit of fur left over. Like
It's just nature's cleanup crew.
Yeah.
They just fully devour it.
Wow.
Cool.
So maybe it seems like somebody like heard the Tasmanian devil and didn't see it, and they're like, "I'm going to make a cartoon about this."
Yeah.
And this has got to be what he does, based on that sound.
Speaking of Australian animals, I can introduce you to your new segment today. Would you like to know what it is?
Yes.
I'll just have done some homework in preparation for this. Okay, so the segment is called "What's Will So Afraid of?" So I was catching up on the back catalogue. There was only two I hadn't listened to before you invited me to this. And I think it was at the end of the Villarreal episode, you said that Florida was America's Australia, and
Yeah.
all the animals are scary.
They want
or
to kill
trying
you.
to
Yeah. They're always
So that's for people not familiar with that episode, that's the context in which this game has been created. And Haley, you're part of this game as well. The first one, this is just to like get it off the table, off the cards,
Sure.
and a little bit more setup. So the US is 12 times the population of Australia. So we need to take that into account for some of these stats. But so 12 times more Americans. So snakes, I think, is like the obvious one that people think of with like scary shit in Australia. So this is like a warm-up example one. So in Australia, 1 or 2 on average people die of a snake bite every year. And in the US, it's 5 or 6 a year. So it kind of tracks. It's like maybe twice as likely to die of a snake bite in Australia, but it's still extremely, extremely rare, like 1 or 2 a year. So I'd say pretty close. You shouldn't really be afraid of snakes if you're not already afraid of snakes in the US.
Sure.
Okay, so next step. Average of 7 people in the US die each year as a result of a spider bite. How many people do you think die each year in Australia from spider?
100.
Yeah, see, the spiders are the things that I've seen online in Australia where I'm just like, that's whether I don't know if they're poisonous or not, but they're terrifying because they're enormous.
They are enormous.
What's your number, Will?
My number per year, I'm gonna go with 18.
Nobody has died from a spider bite in Australia since 1979.
What?
Oh, wow. Cool. So they're all just big and harmless?
What's
Big and awful looking.
People do get bitten by a spider, but we have anti-venom.
Just like sitting around the
yeah,
house.
no one's dying. Free healthcare. Like, come on, guys. I should be like,
What's that
when I'm
like?
doing this research, I'm like, all these spiders in the US, I could have died.
Well, that is the thing, growing up as a kid, you always hear about the black widows and the brown recluses and stuff, and it's like, don't go sticking your hand in any wood piles or anything, or you're gonna get bit by a black widow. I think I've seen 1 or 2 black widows my entire life. I haven't, and I grew up in the country, and I lived there, and I just never saw them. It was never as big a deal.
But brown recluse is more popular where you are anyway, right, Will?
I have no idea. I've never seen a brown recluse.
Oh, I thought they were more southern.
Maybe they blend in. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, they are a recluse.
Yeah, they are reclusive. Yeah. Okay. So spiders. Okay, so you got spiders under control. Fine.
Took Australia. Okay.
Still terrifying.
What do you think the number 1 animal-related death is in Australia?
The number 1 animal-related death in Australia, like, this is the animal doing the killing, not like somebody like swerves and tries to miss a kangaroo, and therefore it's ruled a kangaroo's fault.
It does also include car accidents by hitting an animal.
Okay.
Kangaroo then.
Yeah, I feel like I got to go with kangaroo.
It is a good guess. So in the US, hitting a deer is the number 1 animal.
Yeah.
But in Australia, it's falling off a horse.
Falling off of a horse?
So if you come to Australia, just don't ride a horse. And you've already ruled out the number 1 thing.
Drastically reduce my chances of dying.
Yeah,
all right.
Kangaroos are big, but I think, I guess like I've only been really West Coast US. I saw heaps of deer hiking, and they were close to roads. I feel like in Australia, like there's heaps of kangaroos, but the areas that have a lot of kangaroos on the roads, you're going to have like a big car with like a huge, whatever they call them, bull bar thing.
Oh yeah.
But you're not hitting a kangaroo on your way home from a party in Melbourne or something.
I'm still not really confused about falling off a horse being the leading animal death. Like, is there a lot of horseback riding going on? Is it just that there's a
There's just so
lot of?
little animal deaths that that's
Oh,
what
okay,
can
all
take
right.
them.
That's
That
the
way
number
around.
one.
Wow. Okay.
Nearly there. Okay. In the US, there are 2 to 3 rabies deaths per year. So obviously, you get rabies by being scratched or bitten by an animal.
Sure. Yeah.
How many do you think there are in Australia?
I mean, the trend here seems to be 0. So
Yeah,
I feel like I gotta.
low.
We don't have rabies in Australia. We don't
Man.
have rabies. So if you get bitten by a dog in the US, you'd be like, "Oh my god, I gotta go to the hospital!" Like, how am I going to afford that? But in Australia, you'd be like, you definitely still should go checked out, but you
Make
won't have,
fun of it wherever you can,
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
like, So yeah, no rabies deaths. We don't have rabies. It sounds like a pretty good country.
It does.
Uh, and the only other that I have is, I mean, I did put in just in terms of safety, we have the 7th highest life expectancy. So people here live an average of 84 years, versus you have the 55th highest life expectancy, 79
And we're
years and a bit. So, just come here and naturally you'll live longer.
yeah.
And the real danger to society is, of course, humans. And Australia has 226 homicides a year versus the US's 19,796.
Listen.
So, what's Will so afraid of?
Will's afraid. It's mostly spiders. We're gonna go with
It's,
like
it's mostly the size of your bugs.
it's really what it is. And I've done my darndest to like not instill I'll call it a discomfort with spiders like in my kids and stuff. Like I'm like, okay, if they're gonna develop fears, they're gonna develop their own. Like I'm not gonna be like, ew, spiders are gross. So like whenever I see one in the backyard or something, like my initial instinct is to be like, yo, good. But I'm like, oh look guys, it's a wolf spider and it's got a bunch of babies on it. Isn't that fun?
Ew.
So yeah, it's one of the worst things to look at for me. But I think spiders are the big thing. So thank you for letting me know that I have nothing to worry about and for giving me a reason to move to Australia.
No worries.
I actually almost bought a spider today.
Why? What are you talking about?
I went to the pet store with my daughter to get more dead mice for her snake.
Sure.
And there was a whole tarantula spider section, and some of the cases were coffin shaped, and I was like, oh, that's spooky and cool.
Of course.
Let's check these out. And then I fell in love with a few, and then I was just like, I might come back for you. And then
Have you
Glenn
not seen
was like,
Home Alone?
Please don't, Mom. Please don't. Well, all my knowledge comes from Buzz's pet from
Yeah.
Home Alone.
Don't put it on a rickety
I don't have
shelf.
the first clue, how to take care of one, but I will figure it out, and maybe I'll bring it to the Arnold with me.
Yeah, nope. We will not be. I will not be saying hello to you. I'll just wave at you across the room.
Sit on my shoulder. All right.
Yep. Gross. Awful.
I have a question. What's your favorite? Oh, unless you're done with your segment, are you done? I thought you were.
Yeah. I think
Okay. Concludes what's Will so afraid of.
Dude, yeah.
it's
Did I answer your? Did I answer the question? Okay.
perfect.
Nailed
Bugs, spiders. Favorite place you've ever traveled to climb? And do all of your vacations revolve around that?
Yeah, pretty much climbing or hiking. My wife once was like, I just want to have like sit by a beach vacation. It's like we can do that, like, but you get bored. Like, the good thing about climbing is there's so many places where you can also combine it with like a beach holiday. I think favorite climbing holiday destination might be I mean, Mexico is pretty good. Went climbing in Mexico, and the food is really really good, and the climbing was good. But we weren't very fit because we had just hiked for like 4 months, so we're kind of weak and couldn't enjoy it as much. Um, but Laos is also really good because Southeast Asia from Australia, it's like cheaper flights and it's just really cheap once you're there, like accommodation and like you kind of save money. Like if you're there for long enough, like if you're there for like a month, you can save enough money that it like covers your flight basically. So yeah, I'd say maybe Laos or Mexico is probably the place I'd want to go back the most because I feel like I didn't experience it as much. Yes.
Do you keep
Cool.
like a running list of like the number of places, like number of countries you've climbed in or anything like that, or is that a number?
Not really. Like I keep like a list of places that I want to go in the future. So I'd like to do like there's good climbing areas like in Italy, in Spain. I've never went outdoor climbing in the US just because it didn't line up. There's heaps of good climbing spots in the US. We climbed in Canada. Um, but yeah, the US could spend like a whole year just climbing, pretty much.
Yeah. Nice. Haley, do you have more questions? If not, I have
Before
I have a
your segment?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I guess like I just the Australian Grip Sport Championship. You are planning it for June, correct?
Yep, June
Any
1st.
any idea what those events are, or is that to be determined?
No, it's been announced. So it's the Napalm 3x4. So it's similar to a Saxon. I like it because you don't have to do lockout, so you don't have to have that judge part of like, was that really lockout? It's like it hits the bar or not. And the thicker 2.375-inch handles. So they were part of last year's, and I didn't want to change 100% of the events because one, the equipment's super expensive to get here. So I feel like one, if you've got it now, you can train with it, and two, if that was like your first competition, and it was for a lot of people, they can try to just improve on last year.
Yeah.
So keeping those two as like, I guess, the base ones. Swapping out last year had the Little Bighorn as the vertical lift, and doing the hilt or the vertical cannon or the grandfather clock, whatever is it's the just under 2 inches is the size. So I think the GSI list allows you to use any of them. So I know, we haven't had any records set on that, and I think we got some big lifts on that. And Silver Bullet hold for time. So we're going to be using the GSI grippers. So going to have them shipped over, and we'll use the same ones that we used in the North American Championship last year.
Nice.
And might set some records on that. I haven't even done Silver Bullet close once when I was at Artie's place. So as soon as Hobart Hoist is over, I need to start training, I think.
How are you with grippers in general?
I mean, not bad, but I don't train them, so also not good. So I bought a number 2, and I could close the 2, and that was like my hardest gripper that I'd ever tried for a while. And then I got a 112, I think, and then I could close that. So then that was the hardest one, and then I got 115 or something, and then I closed that. So I just haven't really ever tried long enough on a hard gripper. But I mean, for Silver Bullet, I think the tracked men's, like the lowest one, it's pretty hard already. So I think I'll need to probably try to get to being able to comfortably close something in the 130s to put up any decent numbers. But
Do they use the 3 or does it go into the 2.5?
I think the 3 is the lowest that the men's are tracked. So
average 3 is 148.
Yeah, I think the one for the comp is 150. But because I don't train grip as much, like the only real gripper close I've done is because I trained for the Crush to Dust.
Mm-hmm.
So I really only trained the credit card set. So anytime I see people like, I can close this, I'm always imagining them doing that credit card close, which is much harder than what they're actually doing. It's like, look at me close this one. Did you? Like, I'm not a gripper person, but
it's called a deep set, and it's perfectly recognized on the grip board, and that's what's important.
Definitely recognized. So
that's what's important.
So yeah, I feel like with the silver bullet, I mean, the fact that you can already close it so much, and then you just got to like creak it open, put it in. I have no idea what strengths I'm at. I know I'll be worse than anyone who trains grippers, and probably in the top, maybe like the 20th percentile kind of, in the people who haven't trained it. So I don't think, I just don't want to get a really bad number. It's like the hub. It's like I'm happy to put up like, what's a number I'm not going to be ashamed of, then I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Enough to hang in there. Yeah, I agree. I'll never be good at them.
Nice. Yep.
Other than questions from our audience, that's because I've listened to your interviews, in other places. So, I mean, I got a good idea. There were some questions I wanted to ask on ours, even though I knew a little bit about you and what your answers might be, just for our audience in case they don't, listen to all of them. But yeah, I just love your pictures and your videos. It just looks like you're always on an adventure of some kind, and you are living the life I want to live. So it's like, really cool.
Yep. Nice. So I had a segment in mind, and the more I think about it, I don't know if it actually makes any sense. So we can skip it if we want, but I'll at least go through the concept and what it was going to be. And if you want to try it, we can try it. But it's called Night and G'day, and because it's 9 p.m. here, and it's what time there? Right now, it's like
1 p.m.
Yeah. So
1 p.m. tomorrow.
1 p.m. tomorrow, so you're living in the future, which is neat.
Yeah.
So because, we're on opposite sides of the world, the toilets flush different ways, everything's backwards. What I was going to do was just list off grip implements, and then you would have to give me what you feel like the opposite of that implement is.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. So let's start with one of the with the big ass axle. What's the opposite of that?
Big ass axle is just like your normal bar, your normal deadlift bar.
Like just a regular power bar.
Just a regular bar, whatever. Skinny thing that you see at a gym.
Skinny thing that you see at the gym. That's what I was back in the day. That's the skinny thing you see at the gym. It's awful to look at. Okay, cool. All right, and let's now go with the hilt. Everyone hates grandfather clock. Hilt.
I feel like the opposite of a hilt would be, I almost want to say just like a hanging hilt, because it's like, you're picking it up. I feel like it is obviously the same movement, the same strength. I know your viewers listening in the car can't see me awkwardly pulling at the air.
They can visualize it.
I kind of just want to say some sort of pull down.
The V bar
pull down is the opposite of a
Yeah.
a grip sport hilt lift.
Nice. I'll take it. All right, and the finish ball.
Opposite of the finish ball, I think it'd be so the fins they make like a kind of hub. I guess it's just like a shallow hub. It looks almost like like a very very shallow plate. Because in my mind, if the finish ball, if you've got Carl's hands, you could just smash it, and it just makes like a big crater.
there you
I think
go.
it's
Yeah.
called the crater. There's something like the
Oh,
crater.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right? So whatever that is, the crater is the opposite. Carl's come in and he's smashed it.
He's smashed it.
That's how they create it. They send a bunch to Carl, smashes them down, posts them back,
Yeah.
and they restore them. Makes sense.
That does. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. The science backs it up.
Let's check.
So. All right. Well, those were the ones that I had. Because again, I got through it. I was like, I don't know if that's going to make sense. So thank you for playing along. That was good.
No, that was,
We have some questions from our audience. We always ask our viewers if they want to submit anything. So, in your own words, I guess, what is the biggest difference between Tasmania and mainland Australia?
biggest difference, I would say. I don't want to offend too many people. I think natural beauty. The natural beauty of Tasmania. So I've never lived somewhere before. Like every single day, I think like, wow, like how beautiful Tasmania is. Like just real basic, like our view to the city, just like the mountains, just like living in an apartment in Melbourne. I've lived in a bunch of cities on the mainland. Like there's some nice places and like definitely beautiful places, but like I've just legitimately never lived anywhere else where every single day I think of how beautiful it is. So I'd say
You're lucky to live there, yeah.
lucky to live there. It's like I have that feeling. So I mean that's just like a personal thing. Some people don't care about the natural beauty of the world, and I think because of that, like the people in Tasmania. Like a lot of people move here because they like to do their hobbies. So there's people who surf and dive, and mountain biking is really big. So it's like a hobbies first kind of mentality. Like if you meet someone at a party, it's like not necessarily their profession. It'll be like what are you into? So that's definitely
Nice.
more prevalent here. That it's like if you're going to be living here, it's because you like to do something in nature generally.
I love that.
Yeah.
I get so bored with the what do you do for work questions, and it's like the icebreaker of choice at parties or gatherings. I would much rather it be what are you into? That would be so much more interesting. I love that though. Every day I wake up and I live in New York State, and I don't want to be here. Like I want to live out west in the mountains every day of my life. Like why am I not there yet? And it's my plan to move out that way because again, like I feel like waking up and just seeing beautiful scenery would just make me a happier person and make me want to appreciate it and go out and explore and adventure more and just I agree. I love that.
Yeah. Like I've looked at places like climbing and hiking in like Wyoming. It looks amazing. Like you talk shit about the US a lot, and I have a lot of complaints about the US, but like the US does have like amazing like natural beauty and national parks and forests and everything. And a lot of it, like the stuff you can get to within say like a day's hike is probably going to be very busy. But once you push into sort of the more remote areas, like there's no one around. Like in this huge country full of like 12 times the population of Australia, as we've established, and you don't see anyone. Like you can camp next to a lake, and there's deer running past and eagles and everything, and it's like this is not the not really the United States that you see on TV where everything's hustle and bustle in LA or New York. Like there's plenty of other places to be.
Well, that was when we lived out in Washington and stuff. We were just a little bit north of Seattle, and you go 2 hours east, and you're in the Cascades, and there's nothing, and it's just giant mountains, and it's gorgeous, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, super cool. That was that was the best part of being over there was that. So yeah, that is cool. Do you let's see. Do you have more, or I've got some Pancho sent some in too?
No, I have more. I guess. Do you still keep in touch with Joe Hodgson now that he's off the grid socially?
Yeah, like he comes. We have like a group chat. Some of the Aussies, and he's in and out of there a bit. Yeah, and I talked to him a bit. So he's kind of got some weird work hours. But yeah, I think everyone's got their sort of on and off peak and off peak kind of things with grip. So I'm sure he'll come back. He's still young. I think he thinks he's 44. Still got 30 years of grip. So
yeah. By U.S. standards,
at least.
So.
He hasn't peaked yet.
Yeah.
We have a few from Glenn. Glenn sent us a few. The first one was, any clues for today's Wordle? He wanted to know if you...
Well, I do. It's kind of funny because we do start the day with Wordle, me and Glenn, and he didn't get it today. I'm going to out him, he didn't get it. We usually get it in like two or three. I got it in 5 today, which it's not great, but to not get it at all.
Yeah. Yikes. This is
Yikes.
February the 8th, or I guess no, sorry, for you guys it's the 9th, 2025,
Yeah, I don't know when
and Glenn didn't get it.
It's based. I don't think we'll be spoiling. I don't think we'll be spoiling it by the time you release it. But the word today, let's have a look, because I usually take a screenshot so I can rub in. Got on 2 yesterday. That was a good day. That's the thing with Wordle. I feel like if it's really good, it's like you can't have a bad day if you start your day with yes. Yesterday was steep. Got steep in 2. Today was bonus. So it's kind of tricky because you have a lot of things that can end with US and have like the second letter as O. So I'm sure he just did a lot of like focus stuff like that. So sorry, Glenn, you just wasn't your day.
Do you have a standard word that you start with every time?
We do. So we start with stare, S-T-A-R-E. And we do.
I haven't done Wordle in a while, but that was the one that I always started with as well.
Yeah, and I think it's good to doesn't matter what you start with, but if you start with the same thing as other people, it's better because then you have like more of a comparison. Because it's not just like, oh, well, of course you got that because you started with it and it happened to have that letter. You're starting from the base thing. It's like, oh, you fucked up. Like, what'd you go bonus for? Like, obviously, focus.
Oh man.
It's pretty competitive.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so this is a very competitive thing that you guys have going on.
Yeah.
I start with snake. So steep, like I went to sleep, I think, and then I went sweep, and then I finally got it, and I was like, God damn it! Like I had, when it's like they're lit up green, and you're like, I'm so close. Like surely I got it in the next one. It's like, nope, not that one, not that one. Oh, you finally got it, dumbass.
Yeah, I do connections as well, but connections is a little bit too US focused. Like, it's the only reason I know the Super Bowl's coming out because it was Super Bowl themed.
Yeah, I like connections, but we've got the Super Bowl. Everyone's really excited about it. Everyone really wants to watch it and got strong feelings about their team. For sure.
Is it on during the day or is it a nighttime thing?
It's 6 o'clock usually, but like in the U.S., typically when people are rooting for one team or the other, usually every year there's either a good halftime act or there's a team everybody's pulling for. But this year, nobody cares. Nobody wanted to see either team in it. And it's just kind of, there's like a national boycott. Like, we're not going to be watching. I think this might be the lowest viewership in Super Bowl, at least the last 20 years, because people are just tired of these two teams that are going to be playing. And the halftime act it was for a younger crowd. So a lot of the older crowd that's watching, they'll probably be like, who the hell is this guy? At least that's what my father said.
Kendrick Lamar. He's going to do his whole DNA album in its entirety. So
yeah, it usually makes the news here. Like, if there's some ad, the ads and the halftime act kind of make the news, and no one reads about the actual.
Well, they're even pre-releasing some of the ads and stuff, or like giving like previews to the ads now, and so I'm like, this is dumb.
That spoils the fun of seeing the funny ones. Yeah.
That was the whole thing. It was like, you didn't, at least for me, not being a sports person, I didn't want to go into work the next day and everyone would be like, oh, did you see the Doritos commercial? And I'd say, no, I missed it. So that's the only reason I would watch it, because I wanted to see all the funny commercials. And now I don't have to. It's like, anyway. Yeah. Wordle.
Oh. Well, we have... what are your Rolling Thunder and wrist wrench numbers?
Wrist wrench. Next week for comp, I hope to hit about 45 kilos. I don't know what that is in pounds.
90?
No, it's like 94 or something.
And Rolling Thunder, I don't generally use because it's not like a GSI tracked one, but I have got the requirement for crushed to dust, so the 90 kilos. So I think is that the 200 pounds?
Yeah. That's the 198.
Yeah. So I've done I've done all the individual things for crushed to dust, and the time that I got it filmed, my wife stopped recording before I put the hub down, like the hubs, and then that was like before we went away. So I just haven't built myself back up to that level. So I'd like to get crushed to dust done, because the Rolling Thunder that I have is like on loan from Will Fuggle, who has done crushed to dust. He was the first Australian to do it last year. So I feel like I just need to do it so I can return his stuff. But Lockie Sims is coming from Victoria next week for the comp, and I told him, like, I've got all the crushed to dust stuff, like based on his numbers for other things, he should be able to do it. So he might attempt it next week. So at least I'll be using Will's stuff for, just more than just me trying to get the certificate.
For crushed to dust, do you have to buy that all like as part of the kit, or can you like just say, hey, I know Dr. Randall doesn't care about RGC, so it's not like you have to buy a rated gripper, but like,
you need to use all the official stuff. Yeah, it doesn't need to be yours, so you need to have the Ironmind loading pin, which I wouldn't buy, because you can buy a cheaper loading pin, so that's on loan. The Ironmind carabiner, same thing except even more overpriced. Hub and Rolling Thunder. So I have the hub, but I didn't have the rest of the stuff. So it's nice that Will's loaning it out. I'm sure he will for other people once I get it done and ship it back to him.
Nice.
We have a few more. What's the biggest challenge being the king of the vertical bar, V-bar?
Well, I think I don't think I can get that title yet in Australia. I think Tom's still got a better Little Bighorn on record. So Tom's in the 74 kilo class, and he has 100 kilos on the Little Bighorn.
Good grief.
So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, just that's the.
What is yours?
I think I got 95 last comp, so it'd be nice to improve it for King Kong this year. But I might also drop down into the 74 kilo class. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it does feel nice to get bigger vertical lift then. That's the only thing I've got a better record than Carl in actually. So Carl has 115 kilos on the 2.5-inch jug by Fat Bastard. And Luke Reynolds also has 115 kilos on that, and I have 118 something. So
Wow.
I'll always have that. Like Carl can probably set up his own little comp now and beat it, but I don't care. I'm always
They
gonna
can't take that from
for
you.
this period
That's
of time.
awesome.
Yep.
I've beat him in a comp lift. So
There you go. Yeah, hold on to that as tightly as you can.
I would, yeah.
That's awesome.
And then the final one, my favorite question: which Australian state has the strongest grip?
it is hard. I'd have to say New South Wales, like reluctantly, because yeah, I'd say New South Wales. So that's where Sydney is. But I think just if you take it based on all weight classes and everything, if you're going to put like a team together with, let's say, on an island, and you had to pick people. Yeah,
say you did, yeah.
New South Wales eked out Victoria on that. So.
Nice. For Pancho, should I read his questions in Spanish, or do you want them in English?
Do really do an accent that's like borderline problematic.
Borderline offensive, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. Well, going back to the Patamelon, he did want me to ask you if any have made their way into your house lately.
Not lately, but yeah, I did have one. I must have sent him a photo. So there was one like in the backyard for a while, and then we put like a full new fence in the front. I must have told the story already, so I'll just skip with saying no Patamelons have broken through since the one that broke through.
Good. Glad you're safe from these guys. For our viewers, or if you're just tuning in, I'm showing a picture of Patamelon. It's like a giant cat, like a fat cat mixed with like a kangaroo. It looks really
adorable.
Yeah, like that's the thing is you guys.
It is very cute. You just don't want it in your house.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I think yeah,
pre-groomed, it would be okay.
Pre-groomed Patamelon would be okay. Yeah. It looks nice. Okay, and let's see the other question. Do you have a new online store for Grip Australia?
I do have a new online store. It's called Five Arms. So it's fivearms.com.au. And yeah, we're selling rated grippers and grip sport equipment.
Are you doing
It's
the
kind of
rating?
like soft launch at the moment in terms of, I think you could successfully put through an order, but the only person who's tried was unsuccessful. So I just, okay, you send me the money and I'll send you the stuff. But yeah, if you go to fivearms.com.au, you'll see. So I've created that as like a not-for-profit grip shop where I'm importing stuff at like a bulk rate and maximizing the shipping and then reselling it in Australia for at cost, or I mean, ideally between what it would cost the consumer normally and what I pay, and that middle ground pays for either, if there was any leftover money, it would go into sponsoring grip comps, but also just like website costs of actually having the website.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
somebody
I-
else actually asked that question, so I'm glad you guys covered it. I just remembered. I'm like, there was a question about 5 arms in there, and I forgot.
Why? What is 5 arms? What is?
Well, some people have 4 arms, Will, but if you want, 5 arms, you got to go to the store.
All right. Okay. Got it.
I like that. I don't have
Yeah.
4 arms. I have 5 arms. I dig it. I want that on a shirt.
Yeah. Well,
shows-
actually, Pancho also asked if you're selling T-shirts.
To be, yeah.
Because he's a fan of Grip Australia, so he wants a shirt.
Yeah, I sent Pancho. Pancho wears his Australia shirt. I heard you haven't sent Pancho any shirts, and you're in the same kind of continental area.
We're in the similar line. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't even have shirts ourselves. We're really slacking. We don't even have a banner. We have another banner. Like, we don't have nothing.
Yeah.
So
We
I
have- we have
one sticker.
We've got stickers that I made on like at home. We got a Quay Pigeons thing, a Toblerone reference, deep cut, LA River water.
I do have a
So
Toblerone reference brings me to. So I have a list of. We can do this now if you like. Things that
Let's
I've
do
thought of while listening to your show.
oh, lovely. Yes. Let's
Let's see.
Let's take a
see what
pit
I'm-
stop.
It's not very big. Okay,
Yeah.
so Toblerone it's Swiss. Like,
Yeah.
it is.
you know this now, obviously. I can tell, but you didn't. You thought it was like Canadian.
No. I was just. I misplaced my love for Coffee Crisp, which is Canadian, for Toblerone because
That's
they're
why. Yeah.
similar, and I realize, like, I'm an honorary Canadian, right? Like, I live so close there. I'm there all the time. I am ashamed of myself, and I know better. It was just one of those things. But now it's funny.
Yeah, I'm sure you're gonna
Cross it off the list. Yeah. This one has been
Okay, the other-
addressed.
Another thing that. So, Haley, how do you say your surname?
Gao.
So, you had the episode with Mad Cow. How did Mad Gal not make some sort of?
Oh
reference?
man.
It's like right there. It's
Yeah.
It was there for the taking.
like it's gonna.
That's a big
You
mess.
know, Mad Cow wasn't as playful as I thought he was going to be. Like, a lot of the jokes we tried, well, I'd say on Will's end, a lot of the things Will tried, they just kind of fell flat with him, and I don't know if he was nervous or, but he's such a goofball in his videos and in person. Like, I was just expecting him to be more playful, like the banter back and forth with us clowns, and he was pretty serious. Yeah, so a lot of my stuff went over his head.
a lot of what I say goes past, I think, or it's funny to me, and then that's where it stops. 'Cause I think we had the same thing with Jen. I thought Genjamin was hilarious, and she just was like, "What the are you talking about?" So I still bring up Genjamin every once in a while because it makes me laugh. So.
Next on my list is Will, your eyelash story. Remember talking about.
Deceit.
You do realize this person was like trying to flirt with you, and you take, a natural feature of yours. You have like long, beautiful lashes, and you turn it into like, oh no, my eyelashes are so deficient that I get dirt in my eyes and I need prescription eyelashes.
So I can understand how hearing that story you would think that. However, it was a girl that I was interested in high school, and it wasn't really reciprocated. I don't know why she hung out with me or agreed to any of that. So
I don't know, you have such beautiful long eyelashes. Well, like that was your
she
moment.
probably wanted the secret.
I know why. She's probably like grossed out by your deficient
Yeah, once I said that, that's what really. Yeah, she was into it until then. Yeah, she was like, "Oh, this guy's disgusting. He gets dirt in his eyes. Prescription eyelash." No. Anyway, I appreciate the vote of confidence, but in reality,
was confidence in a way.
Yeah.
Other question I had. So you've talked about listening to a lot of Disney songs.
Mm-hmm.
2 questions relating to that. What did you think of the remake of Mulan? It's trash, right? It's terrible.
I haven't seen it even.
Don't watch it.
I
Did
heard
you
it
like
wasn't.
it?
Well, I like Mulan the Disney movie, and I feel like I'd have to be in a. It sounded like it wasn't that. It was like the trying to be a retelling of
It was
historical
like
events or something.
yes, it was a historical film. Like, I mean, if you saw Mulan, the animated version, and you're like, oh, great, they're remaking it with real people, I'm expecting that same energy, you'd be
Yeah.
very disappointed. I mean, it's not like the way Lion King was done or Little Mermaid, where it was close, just
Yeah.
in live action. It's like they wanted to make it historical and honor the actual story, but it was kind of
Yeah, it's
like,
trash.
oh, all the fun's gone. All the fun
Where's
taken
Mushu?
out of it. Yeah,
Where's Eddie Murphy? Bring him back.
Anyway, historical accuracy.
Historical accuracy. Eddie Murphy would have been there. He is eternal.
Do you ever
Anyway.
listen to like the? Because Will, I know you learn some languages. Do you ever listen to it in the other languages, like Disney songs that in like German or French or Spanish?
I've listened to some of The Princess and the Frog in German, yeah, because my son was
So
into
I have
that movie a lot.
strong feeling about this because I tried to learn like before I met my wife, I was learning French, and we met in France. And I stopped learning French, started learning German. I thought, a good way to do it is like through Disney songs, partly because you already know it, and like it's very clear, like enunciated.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to find the lyrics and everything. But the amount that they change, like it's obviously not just like a direct translation, which wouldn't work because of fitting the words in and rhyme and everything. But like it can change the whole. I know this is completely not grip related. You can change the whole
Doesn't have to be. Yeah.
change the whole meaning of the song. So like one that really bugs me is like the Lion King. Can you feel the love tonight? So can you feel the love tonight? It's like, all right. So the love it's implicit, so it's there, and it's kind of asking like a third person, like, "Oh, are you picking this up?" Like, Sparks, like they're gonna get a room, guys. But the German version is like the translation is "Can it really be love?" Like "Kann es wirklich Liebe sein?" Like I'm not gonna. But can it really be love? That's a very different thing. That's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're not even sure. Like, oh, could this like? I feel like it's too different of the premise for me to then enjoy it. I'm like, I just get so caught up in the wrong translation that it's like you fucked that up. It's like,
Well,
these
but
guys
hold
are
on.
like, definitely getting it on.
Yes,
These
but
lions are fucking tonight.
those lions a weem away. Am I right?
But you
so,
listen to German and you're like, well,
but
maybe they are
apply.
fucking tonight, but it's not even love.
Who
So
knows?
what does that
Can it be
leave you?
love?
Yeah,
No.
I mean, it should have been. Does it have to be? The question I have, I guess, is like, do you feel like that sentiment though maybe applies better than "Can you feel the love tonight?" Because they were like fighting, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Wait a minute, it's you!" And then they're trying to figure out.
I'm saying
I haven't seen you
maybe
in forever. I think it could go either way.
Well, it's the circle of life. It's
the audience
They're
have
gonna.
the same experience though. Like I'm just saying the audience are having different experiences based on
You were wanting to get frisky, and then now you're having to have some kind of a thought in your head of like, oh,
That's right.
what is love? Could that be?
Yeah, what
Is
is
it maybe
love?
Could
something
that
else?
be?
Oh no, what are these lines feeling in here? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much it. I also wanted to know, it's Year of the Snake this year. What year are you, Will and Haley, for your lunar animals?
Oh, I don't even know. I would have to.
I think I guess I'll look it up because
'Cause I think
I had.
I think you're a fellow. You're born in '89, right?
Yeah.
But you're born before February. You're born in January,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, you're a dragon.
Nailed it.
That's
So
cool.
it is the best one. It's like the only one. Like they all have something where it's like, oh, the horse is proud but lazy. You know, but the dragon's just like the dragon is the best, and you're lucky.
Yeah.
You're good looking. You can be rich. So
Yes.
a lot of people.
I
Like,
know my daughter was the year of the horse.
Oh, sorry about that, Haley.
It's okay. She rides. She's a horseback rider, so she would not go to Australia and die on a horse. So
That's really funny. She's not lazy though.
no,
That's funny. Yeah, that's good. So wait,
And
what
mine-
are you if you're 89 and not?
If you're
an
89
African?
and not a dragon, so if you're born now onwards till next February, you're a snake. So it's your year if you're
Oh, I see.
usually if you're 89. So yeah, make the most of it. Year of the snake people.
Yes, there's your directive.
The other question I had for you is: so Ben Galper says he has 15 records.
Mm-hmm.
How many world records do you think he actually has?
I mean,
That's I've
tried
seen that he's
looking-
promoting 15 and that he's coming out with a site to.
I think he's.
he doesn't listen to this, so it's fine. We're safe. We can just let it rip, guys. I'm for it.
I mean, he might. You know, we're. He doesn't. Yeah, I don't know.
He will tell anybody who's willing to listen how many he has and how wonderfully
But
how
that's the
wonderful he
thing.
is.
I've tried looking it
I
up,
think
and I
he has
haven't.
15, but I don't know. Like, is that like?
I don't. I've tried
I
looking
think
it up
it's 7.
before.
I think it's 7, which is very different than 15. And
It's
I'm willing
almost
to give him
half.
like 2 extra based on like maybe I haven't done my research properly.
Yeah.
So let's say he's got maximum 9, but that's not 15. So
It's not 15, but something tells me that he's possibly counting training lifts in that number. I don't know what.
could
I
be.
feel like I've only seen him pick up a few things. I don't know how many competitions he's done. He didn't set any records in the competition that I was in because he was in there with Devin Lee, who really just crushed it. And so
Devin Lee
again,
crushed it.
But yeah,
I'm
if
gonna
you ask
guess
a
no.
rhetorical question, do I have the strongest pound for pound grip? You can like back it up
There's-
with empirical evidence that says you don't. You do not have the strongest grip.
yeah, there are ways that we have of measuring who
Yeah.
is the strongest, and those are typically competitions. And I haven't seen a great result from that. So it's gonna be okay. 7. That's more than I thought, honestly. But he's
Well,
very
they feel
strong.
like the same thing, just in the same weight class. It's basically Axel and GSI because Devon Lee didn't compete.
Well, and Devin usually competes higher anyway. He just, I mean, like he's going to be in the 90s for the Arnold this year. He was in the 90s the year before last, and he like the 80s was the lightest I had seen him. But I think he's usually 93 or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and it's like he's obviously very, very strong. Like he's picked up a lot of weight and he moves a lot of weight. But like, if you're that strong already, why not just wait to claim those things? You know, until you've gotten them in a setting where like everyone's going to recognize them and see that like
Where the weights are calibrated, where they're all the same, where the judge. Yes, I agree. The more I hear about them, I have formed my opinion.
You're good at Axel and good at Rolling Thunder, and be like, I'm a Rolling Thunder specialist, and I have, like I think for Rolling Thunder, he probably has a claim for one of the strongest pound for pound Rolling Thunders, and just like be happy with that, and be like, if he's top 10 in pound for pound, and like he might, could probably argue maybe 10th but like that's still really good.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be number one to be proud of your achievements. So Ben Galper, I will be proud of you that you just have
Yes.
you have really good pound for pound. It's just not necessarily number one.
Yep. And
Might
I
be
will
what's
give that
like it.
advice to as many people as they want to hear it. I will not follow it myself. I have to be the best, or else, like after we get off here, it's time for the self-flagellation and kind of the negative talk that I do to myself in the mirror before I go to bed. So, but everyone else,
with negative
and
self-talk.
yeah, exactly.
Negative self-talk.
Yeah, exactly.
The opposite.
So yeah, that's good. I like that you came prepared with like
Your own
questions
segment,
and, things. Yeah.
and like that's so cute.
Yeah, that was fun. I like that.
No one's ever treated us that nicely before.
I was going to do the animal section. I mean, it doesn't really work for the people listening in the car. But I was also just going to present like this for the viewers at home.
Aww.
Little cute
It's a-
koala, salt and pepper shaker.
Yes.
No, we can
Is
have
it Paul Salt and Pepper Shaker?
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
Get out of
That's-
here. Aw.
that's twisted, but it's nice that. I mean, he doesn't seem to mind coming apart in half. It was a salt and pepper shaker for those of you just tuning in. A salt and pepper shaker that comes apart in half, and it's a koala. So Isaac ripped him in half, and he looked happy about it.
It came with, in case you asked about like which weapon, it's a common one which weapon would you use? So this is the Barrel Strength Systems extra large steel loading pin. So it's bigger than normal.
Yeah.
And it has this sort of base plate. And this
Very
is
square.
super
Yeah.
really sharp. Like it's legitimately, if I heard, we don't have like gun ownership in Australia. We don't have guns, so
Well,
I'm
that's
not
why
like
you're.
reaching for a gun. I'm reaching
That's why
for
your murder
like,
rate's so low.
You've got like a really good, I've got good V-bar as we discussed. It's really put into it, and this
Yeah.
that's one hit kill device.
You're dead.
So,
That'll do some
Especially with
damage
the
for sure.
corners.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like really yeah.
Looks
Do
like a
a
good
lot of
weld
damage.
too. Yeah.
All the
Yep.
pieces together. You're even bringing up my personal favorite question. What would be your grip implement weapon of choice?
That's it. Definitely delicious.
Yeah. That's solid.
Are you going to play us your song?
Oh yeah.
Your walkout
oh, the
music?
walkout music. Yeah. Dang, we didn't mention
Yeah,
that.
other grip staple question.
Yes.
Okay,
Which
but
I
one
keep
minute
forgetting to
long,
ask.
and I'll see if I can play it through the speaker because it might pick up better for the audience who want to record it for their own use.
Of course. I plan on using it.
And okay, let's see if this works. All right, so it's 1 minute, audience.
For those who can't see, the salt and pepper shakers are now dancing. Beautiful.
Did you make that beat yourself, or did you find that somewhere?
I compiled it.
Nice.
So
That's really
all
good.
credit to Zach Mullins, obviously, for the Grip Show introduction that I borrowed.
Well, I think a lot of those are from Pencho's episodes too, so joint credit to.
That's right. It's a whole takes a village.
It takes a village.
Walkout music.
Yeah, it takes a village to make an EDM. Walkout song.
Grip song.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring that with me to the Arnold, and I'm going to
Use it.
before I lift. I'm just gonna go hand my phone to Ricardo and just say just press play.
Just press play.
And have him hold it up to the microphone.
It's pretty catchy. It was in my head after
it
I
is
made
very
it.
catchy, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff. I like that a lot. Thank you for sharing.
No worries.
Nice. I think that's all the questions that we had. Or at least I don't know, Haley, if you had more that came up. Here I am
No, I
speaking
mean,
for everyone.
is there anything else you wanted to add? Anything about the Hobart Hoist or the upcoming Grip Sport Championships? Anything at
No,
all?
just if you're in Australia and you want more information about how to like run a comp, I'm happy to sort of help people run a comp. Or if they don't have the equipment and they think that I might have the equipment, like welcome to borrow it for competition and things like that. Hey, I was going to ask whereabouts in New York you lived, if you were close to Alex at all, Feats of Alex.
No, I'm not. He lives in Sleepy Hollow, which is not. It's probably about a 5-hour drive for me. I last visited in October, this past October, and we don't really, outside of following each other and supporting each other's videos and stuff like that, we don't really have a relationship where I'd be like, hey, popping in, like,
Hey, bestie.
hey, we're both New Yorkers, let me come through. No, I mean, I think Pancho asked me that too, and we just haven't connected like that on a, I mean, he's into steel bending and a lot of the stuff I haven't dabbled in. I actually had a steel bending company contact me recently asking me to purchase one of their kits and try it out for them and see how like a female's perspective, I guess, on it. So I think I might get into it, and I might pick his brain here in the future, because that's something I haven't even attempted to try, but it always looks so impressive.
Because yeah, I know
So I
he's
am.
he's hosting a competition where they're using. I'm not sure if you've seen it online. The Finnish grip implements, and I think they're looking for more women. And I went to sort of the hub that they have in near Helsinki, and saw all the equipment, and it's super fun. So I just thought, if you're close enough to go to that comp, that would be a real fun, different grip competition where it's just trying out all these Finnish made implements.
Yeah. That would be neat. When is
Now
that?
I'm gonna bug him. I'll bug him now about it. Hey, I talked about you tonight. Here's my intro.
Yeah, that was
Nice.
just my shout out to my Finnish friends who I visited last year. Since I was thinking, what haven't I talked about on Pancho Show? But I hadn't met John in Hawaii or any of the Finns yet, so that's been a pretty cool experience for combining travel with grip. Grip travel is an emerging industry.
Nice.
Yeah, how like going out to Hawaii and trying all of his stuff, that must have been really cool. Like, is it just like all in his yard? Like
Yeah, pretty
the
much. Yeah, it was hard because he's like I had done a bit of a probably. I mean, it's not a competition, so it doesn't really matter. But like I'd done a bit of a more strenuous hike that day because it's like my wife's not very interested in grip, so I'm not just going to be like, hey, let's go to Maui and let's just visit this grip guy. So we did some other stuff, like go hiking. And it was really, really hot. Like I used to live in hotter places, but I was just like dripping with sweat. It was really, really humid, and I was tired. And John was just like, "All right, try this now. Try this." Like, "Oh, here's a blob," and it's like, I'm like, I usually like blobs. Like, I usually start with a lower. It's like, all right, here's the lower blob. And I was just so tired. Like, not even tired, just like the way I train at home is like sort of powerlifting style. Like, I'll lift something twice, have a 5-minute break. Lift something slightly, like I'm just heaps of rest, and that's also why I like grip, because I'm just like just doing work or reading or just chatting to people in this massive rest. It's like more rest than lifting. But yeah, John's style is obviously more like high reps and everything. So yeah, it was just like
Go,
a
go, go.
whirlwind of like, oh, okay, like just the amount of stuff I saw. I was probably only there for like 2 or 3 hours, and the amount of stuff that I saw in that time was crazy. So if you get a chance,
Like a museum, yeah.
and it's just good to see how much stuff. And he's like got heaps of knowledge, and he's really into arm wrestling. So if you have any, even like a small interest in arm wrestling, he'll take you through some arm wrestling stuff.
Nice.
Very
I'm
cool.
teaching to be the top arm wrestler in his school. So apparently he arm wrestles his principal every once in a while.
Oh.
And I think she lets him win, but he takes a lot of pride in beating her. So
Aw.
yeah. So we'll take him to Hawaii and get him going with a guru for it.
Hmm.
Some institutional knowledge.
Seems good.
Well, cool. Well, again,
Yeah, that's all I have.
yeah. Thanks for being on and for talking to us. And yeah, this was fun. I could probably keep going if I hadn't gotten 5 hours of sleep last night, which is not a lot for me.
Gotta get that sleep in for the Super Bowl tomorrow. So.
Yeah. I'm really hoping. I'm hoping that they just throw it enough, and also that it goes down the field as far as it can every time. Yeah. Am I right? Yep. All right. Well, Grabber Gang, if you're just tuning in, we're ending the show. And
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
thank
coming
you,
in.
Isaac.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. Thanks for having me.
Until next time. Bye bye.
Bye.